Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. This is going to be a little bit different video. So this is kind of my video for my master plan as far as investing in Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin itself, things like that. What do I want to get out of it in my lifetime and things like that in the next 5, maybe 10 years. We'll talk about a little bit of that maybe. But this is basically, we're in right now phase 1. And then we're going to talk about, in this video, basically my phase 2 plan, which we'll go over in detail and things like that. And I would love your guys' input on it. And also love to know what you guys are doing, okay? But as always, this is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. And I'll invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. All right, so let's get into it here, and I'll try to explain everything as best I can as far as my plan is concerned, okay? So here we go. I created a little bit of a, I guess you could say, keynote, a presentation for this. I wanted to make it a little bit more polished than what I normally do as far as putting all the data out for you guys and then presenting it to you guys. Right, so this is kind of where we are right now. If we look at where Bitcoin is right now, where we are right now in the process of things, in the cycle and everything. So this is based on the Bitcoin halving cycles. And right now we are in what I would call my phase 1 plan. So I started investing in, well, a small chunk of, let me back that up. In 2017, 2018, I invested in Hive, right? When we had the bull run back in 2021, I should have sold it at that point. I did not. That was a lesson learned, but that was basically the experimental phase. Could I invest a little bit of money into the Bitcoin miners and then basically see high rewards for that or high profits, which was the case. I invested a couple of $1,000s. I could have been up, well, I was up almost 70,000 at that point. I should have sold. I didn't. That was a lesson learned. But the experiment basically worked. It did. The thesis worked and the experiment worked that if you invest in the right times in the Bitcoin miners, you can get a nice profit from it, okay? So then we're on to phase 1 here. Phase 1 is which we're in right now, which is obviously the bear market that we had ever since the end of 2022, right? We had, well, the beginning of 2022, we basically hit an all-time high in 2021, and now we're in 2022, 2023. So we had the bear market happening in 2022. We're in 2023 right now. We are at this point right here, if you guys can see that. And I'll pull that up for the big screen here. So we are here basically about 6 months away from the halving event, which is going to happen right around April of next year. We don't know exactly when, but it's going to be right around there. All right. So based on this, I'm still going to be dollar cost averaging into it. If we go into the next slide here. So continue to dollar cost average into the shares before and after the halving event, which is right around here. So here's the halving event. I plan on continuing to dollar cost average into the miners as long as the price looks pretty good. I'm also going to continue to buy in for the next couple of months afterwards as long as the prices are good at that point. The reason for that is because I think once we get past a couple of months after the halving event, Bitcoin will, start to go up and down and up and down and up and down. But it's going to take a while for that to happen, and usually it happens a couple of months after this period where we do start going into this maybe bull run here. And also if we get this spot Bitcoin ETF somewhere around here, that's obviously going to drive Bitcoin price up. So the plan is just really to dollar cost average in while the prices are low, and then just basically hold off on everything, maybe invest in something else during that time, maybe Rivian or something else, or pay down my school debt, whatever that might be. That's kind of the plan here in this phase here that we're going to be going into it, right? So before it, and continue to invest as best as I can, as long as I have cash flow that I can do it, and then wait for the bull run to happen here sometime in this. And I have this at about 15 or 16 months or so. This is plus or minus, right? It's not going to be exact. Historically, Bitcoin has gone like longer than that, even as far as bull runs are concerned. But on average, if you look at the averages of things, this is kind of like 12 to 18 months is kind of like the average for it. So this is marked on here as the green bars, okay? Next, as we go into the bull run, continue to buy shares if the price of shares are still pretty low. So depending on which miners you own, whether it's Marathon, Riot, those might be a little bit higher. I own CleanSpark, Hive, and Bitfarms. Those might be a little bit lower. So as long as they're like below $10, something like that, I'll probably continue to buy if I have the cash to do it. And then obviously we want to start selling some of the Bitcoin miners that we do have as we get towards the all-time highs of Bitcoin. So maybe around 100,000 for Bitcoin. We don't know where it's going to go. Like I said, if we get the Bitcoin ETF or the spot ETF on it, we could have obviously go much higher than 100,000 for Bitcoin. I'm guessing maybe 180, maybe somewhere a little bit north of that. But basically, once I get to 100,000, plan is to start slowly selling my positions in the miners that I do own. And the process hopefully will be somewhere in here, right? So right around where we might peak, pretty close to the end of 2025 based on this. And at that point, we might be coming back down a little bit here into 2026 as well, getting into the bear market as well. But that all obviously depends on, well, laws, everything else. You also have the adoption rate, Bitcoin ETF, how that performs as well. Does that keep the price of Bitcoin up much higher than it normally would? Otherwise, we just don't know. So we'll have to keep an eye on the metrics and the data and everything else on not only Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin miners themselves as well. And we'll see how things go out at that point. But the plan is to obviously sell the majority of all of what I own in the miners before we peak or a little bit after we peak, right? So as long as I'm selling somewhere near the top, I'll be happy with that. I'm not going to get the top. I know I'm not going to get the top. This is going to be highly improbable to do that. So as long as I sell somewhere in the middle between here, I'll be happy with that and continue to sell, into the peak and then from the peak down as well. Okay, that's kind of the plan. We'll see how it works out. Then going into the bear market here. Bear market be completely out of the Bitcoin miners, obviously, at this point. So somewhere right around here, we want to be probably out of them completely. Out of them. And then look for other investment vehicles as well. So that could be buying rental properties, vacation rentals, things like that, where I can park the money, the profits that I had from this cycle into something that's going to generate more revenue going forward. Another option is obviously to build possible houses. It takes 6 to 8 to 12 months to build a house. But you can, if you do it right, make 10, 20% profit on that. I don't know where you're going to do that on the markets. I'm not great at picking other stocks other than when I have data on them. So we'll see. Possibly continue to buy Rivian shares as well. That might be an option there. Definitely going to pay off the school debt that that I do have. I want to be done with that. I've been paying on that for, now about 8, 10 years or something like that. No, actually less than that, about 6 years or so. So I got another 14 more years ago. I definitely want to pay that off, be done with it. High interest rates on that. Do that for sure. And then obviously look for other investment possibilities as well. Whether it's going to be, like I said, buying rental properties, vacations, or building houses, whatever it might be. I'll definitely have to take a look into it to generate more revenue going forward. So that way I can put it back into the next halving cycle going forward, right? So this is a bear market type of idea that I'm looking at. And then also we're looking to possibly repeat the cycle. So dollar cost average time in. This is this yellow bar here, which is possibly going to kind of intersect with the bear market a little bit because we just don't know where the bottom is going to be. So one of the issues that I did wrong this time around was I started buying back in 2022. So I bought CleanSpark at right around $9 and something. Bitfarms around, I think it was like $3, $5, something like that. So pretty high from where they were. They continued to come down, but I continued to dollar cost average down in them. And as they continued to go down, I got even more stocks for a better price. I was able to bring down my cost average down to where it's now I'm in the green on all of those guys, which is great. So the plan is, again, to do the same thing, right around here and continue on until the next halving event. So we're still going to look at metrics, obviously, to see which miners are possibly doing really well. Things are definitely going to change in that time. We may see also possible consolidation around here with some of the miners not really being able to withstand the halving event, and also the couple months after the halving event, where Bitcoin kind of still goes sideways a little bit here. Depending where Bitcoin ends up here before the halving event, it might be a sign for some of the miners to sell, and then we'll see which ones get sold off, merge, or whatever they might do. So that's obviously things are going to be very fluid here in the next couple of years going forward into it. And then based on the metrics here that we're going to take a look at during this whole period, obviously still, we're going to see which ones are the top miners to possibly get into. So again, DCA into the top 3 miners, put as much as I can into it all, depending on how much I'm able to take profits here after paying Uncle Sam and everything else, investing in other things. I'd like to invest this time around in the next cycle, before the next cycle actually, is somewhere around between $100,000 to $200,000 into the Bitcoin miners again. Again, depending on the economy, how things are going, in general with Bitcoin and everything else, that's all going to be a deciding factor as far as how much I put in, what I put in, or it could be that the miners actually stay up the whole time during this bear market even. There's a lot of things that could change, factors could change, and we just have to pay attention to those as well. Okay, so that's kind of the plan here, is to start buying again right around 2027, somewhere around there, as the miners have come down in price, possibly after the all-time high, somewhere around here, and then continue to buy right around here and into the halving event again for the next cycle, which is obviously going to drop the Bitcoin production by another 50% basically. Okay, so that's repeat the cycles. Continue the process. The whole time I'm going to continue to research on BTC miners, because that's going to be really important to deciding which miners to get into. Like I said here, possibly which ones are going to be growing forward into the halving event again. We've seen a huge growth here this last cycle. Marathon's looking to get to possibly 30 exahash. Riot's going to be at 20 exahash, looking to get to 30 exahash as well. CleanSpark is going to get to 20 exahash. We have Iris Energy also getting, well, they stated that they want to get to 30 exahash as well. So there's a lot of growth here that we've seen this bear market going into the halving event, and we'll see if we continue to see that with the miners again going into the next cycle as well, which is what I'd love to see. Okay, so that's kind of what that's the plan here, is to continue to do the research on them, continue to see how they're doing, progressing. It's going to be definitely interesting to see how they progress here in the bear market going into 2026 and into 2027 as well. And yeah, we'll see how things progress. Okay, and then obviously things could change. Laws is a big one here that could change on us for. We could get mass adoption, obviously, as well. Layer 2, like Lightning, right, protocol, that could have a huge impact if we get huge adoption worldwide. The transaction fees off of that could be, well, depending on what the transaction fees are, but that could offset the Bitcoin rewards that the miners are getting right now. I'm guessing it's not going to happen this coming cycle. I'm guessing it might happen in a couple cycles, but possibly not this coming cycle. We would need like, oh gosh, I don't know, hundreds of millions of transactions a day, depending on what the transaction fees are going to be like. So we'll have to see that as well, right? That could obviously stabilize the miners more so than anything else. If you get a lot of transaction fees, the miners could be making a heck of a lot of money from those. We saw what happened obviously back in May with that. So that'll be interesting to see how that progresses as well. And then obviously the consolidation in miners. I'm thinking there's going to be a couple of miners that might be forced to sell, unfortunately, their facilities and things like that, where they haven't grown as much, or they're just having a hard time, or they have a lot of debt and they can't pay that debt. So it'll be an interesting time, this halving cycle that we're going to witness here in about 6 months or so. But yeah, those are all things that could definitely have an impact on it. There's probably other things that could have an impact on it, energy prices, things like that. If energy prices grow up, obviously that's going to impact the Bitcoin miners' profitability. The less profitable miners, or the ones with higher electricity costs, could have a hard time as well. So there's a lot of unknowns in this, but that's why this is just a basic plan, phase 1, phase 2. If things work out this way, there's going to be a phase 3 as well. And phase 3 would actually go into the next halving event and after the halving event. Like I said, where I'm looking to invest possibly 100,000, 200,000 instead of the 50,000 that I was basically able to scrunch up in the last 2 years, and try to invest that way. So we'll have to see how things work out, but I definitely would love to see what you guys are doing. If you guys have other plans after this halving cycle with the bull run and the all-time highs, are you going to be selling all that? Are you going to be investing in other things? What other things are you going to be investing in? Love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you to the Patreon members as well. I'll get this up to them as well, probably tonight. And we'll see where things go. We do have some new stories from Hive today, along with Mawson, providing their September production update. That will be probably a video tomorrow. Okay, but yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one.